Today we're going to be making no-knead bread. To get started, pour out 3 cups of white flour into a large mixing bowl, then add 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of yeast. While I've got you, I'd like to spend a moment talking about the good word of flour. You want a strong flour for this, so anything that says baker's flour or high protein will be perfect. If you can't get that, good old-fashioned all-purpose will work as well. Now you're going to make a little well in the center of your flour here and pour in half of your water. After you've done that, you're going to spread some of the flour on top of the water till you can't see any more moisture before adding the rest. Then you're going to spread your fingers apart and start stirring that dough. You could use a wooden spoon here, but your dough won't feel quite as loved, and an unloved dough just isn't going to taste as good. If it's too wet, you can add a little bit more flour, and if it's too dry, a little bit more water. But in the end, you're going to end up with a big sticky ball like this. Remember, you're not trying to knead it here, you're just mixing it until it's combined. Once you're happy, cover it with some Glad wrap and leave it overnight. Wake up in the morning and gloriously dust down your bench. When you get your dough, it's going to look weird with lots of little holes in it. That's a good sign. As you're turning it out onto the bench, you'll notice these strands. That's your gluten forming, and that's a great sign. Now we're going to go ahead and get a good amount of flour on our hands and on top of the dough. If you got a dough scraper, this will make it easier. If you don't, you can probably use a knife. You're going to fold each of the corners on top of the dough like a delicious bready present. And you're going to go ahead and get under it, give it a good old flipperoo. Hit it with some more flour on the top and start turning it in a ball. If your hands are sticking, add a bit more flour. It's a really pleasant sensation, but it does take a while. Once that's done, add a bit more flour on the top and then resist the urge to slap it. Put some baking paper in a bowl and drop your dough right in there with the soft edge facing up. Preheat your oven to 240 and put in your cast iron pot. Give it about 40 minutes until it's nice and hot, and then go ahead and drop your bread straight in. If you want to score it, I find scissors work pretty well. Pop it back in. Remember oven mitts, this guy is hot, hot, hot. Set a timer for 30 minutes and get ready for the grand reveal. Pop it back in the oven again for another 5 to 10. Keep a close eye on it so it doesn't burn, and eventually you'll end up with something like this. Now it's going to be hard, but I need you to promise me you're not going to cut into this until it cools. I'm talking at least an hour here. Importantly, go ahead and check the acoustics of your bread. Is that the front door or the bread you just baked? I don't know. They both sound the same to me. Cut a slice and relish in the fact that you've just made beautiful bread from the comfort of your own home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah?